So I have that Excel file, but I'm just not going to work with it too much because I tried to do some stuff and I haven't done Excel in a long time, and it's unfair for me to try to get that in here at this moment and try to teach you all Excel. So like I said, I'm going to stick with SPSS, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, um, I'm going to do a lot of the work that's SPSS. You just follow along if you have SPSS. If you don't, that's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the statistics, the purpose of the statistics, and that's going to be the questions that I'm going to ask you. So we're not going to, um, if you have it, work with me. If you don't have it, you should be still able to answer the question. So here, let me give you an example, right? So here is variable types in SPSS, right? And discussing identifying variable measurements, and this is what this assignment is. So I have a set of variables down here, right, that I want you guys to identify. And so if I go to SPSS, right, you will see that here are my variables, right? And one of the easiest things to do in SPSS is to get information on these variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get what we describe as a frequency distribution. Frequency distribution is basically a count, right, on the number of times the particular category appears. So if I go to Analyze and I go to Descriptive Statistics and I come down to where it says Frequencies, I can click on that. And then from here, I can take the category City. And I push the button down here. Now, here's City down here, right? I move that across. Actually, in this case, I should actually be doing metropolitan area, but right, click OK. And here is a frequency distribution of my city, right down here. Ignore this top one here. Right, so this is what you basically should be seeing, right? And this is the population in each one. So percent, 87% are not in a particular city. So 6.4% are in Boston, 1.3% in Cambridge, 1.2 in Lowell, 1.7 in Springfield, and 2.2 in Worcester. So there's your presentation of the cities. Now, what kind of variable is city? Ah, so I have Boston, Cambridge, Lowell, Springfield, Worcester. So which one is better? I know. You're thinking, well, Boston, oh, Cambridge is better. Oh, no, Lowell is better. And you're probably thinking, of your own experiences, your own life, or Springfield is better. This is my hometown. But the reality is that you can't tell, right, which one is greater than the other. All you have is preference. Boom, nominal level variable right off the bat. So that's what we mean by nominal. That's it, that you identify it that way. Another way of being able to identify it is if you come back here to this right here, you can then click on city, and if you click right here, right, it gives you the variables, and you could say, oh, wait, these are city names. Well, I could have a preference, but there's no way of telling. Let me show you um, real quickly the other category, just so that you can see, right? Let's take, I want to deal with age, right? Age is a one that you can clearly see. So if I go to Analyze, Descriptive Frequencies, and instead of City, I'm going to push this one back. Notice I highlighted it by clicking on it. Then I click the arrow back, and then I'm going to come down, see age, bring it across. There it is. I click OK, and here's my age category. Ah, I limited the population to 50 years old and older. Why did I do that? It's because I was using it for a different data set, but bear with me. It just truncates it all to 50-year-old and older. So here's 50-year-old, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. Hey, how much older is a 60-year-old to a 50-year-old? Oh, 10 years older. Well, there you go. That makes it straightforward. They're 10 years older than the other group. So not only can I tell that one is greater than the other or one is older than the other, but I could tell by how much. Interval level data. Simple as that. Well, interval level data allows me to be able to do a lot more than nominal level data, and so that's why it's important to know the level of measurements of these variables. So in this particular assignment, however, do I need SPSS in order to be able to do this specific assignment? Actually, no, not really, right? In this particular case, I can actually look at these things and determine how it is that this might be measured. So city, how is city measured? Oh, city is measured by the name of the city. Ah, how is sex? Well, sex in this case refers to gender or refers to how a person identifies themselves. And yes, they identify themselves just in the um, dichotomous choices of, man or woman, male or female. It's just the way that the census collects this information. I cannot change the way census collects this information. This is not how I collect this information, but this is one of those things that are kind of left for that we see is always problematic whenever we're using secondary data analysis. But if regardless of um, how this is recorded, the reality is, and how the choices that you decide to put in there, when you think about gender, when you think about sex, when you think about, you know, this type of identity or sexual identity, if that's how, you're looking at it, then you're still looking at what type of measurement. Oh, I'm pausing there waiting for kind of you to answer that in your head. Nominal level measurement, right? That's what we're looking at there. Say is it nominal? Because you can't create a preference. You only have one or the other, right? I mean, you have a preference, but you can't say that one is greater than the other. There's no real universal matrix that you can just say, oh, this determines this one is greater than that one, right? Age, on the other hand, you can, right? You can actually determine which one is older, which one is younger, and by how much, right? Marital status, same thing, right? Race, nominal. You can't, you can have a preference, but, hopefully you don't, but you could have a preference. It's just that, you can't say one is greater than the other. Same thing with Hispanic origin. Uh, Year of naturalization, yes, you can actually say what year were you, um, if you were naturalized in the United States, meaning when did you become a citizen, then you could tell how many years have you been a citizen in the US? How many years, right? Year of immigration. How many years have you been in the United States, right? So these are important things to kind of, and you can kind of assess these, and that's basically what I want you to do. So if you don't have SPSS and you're having a problem identifying what these things are in SPSS, um, it's okay. Define what you think the categories for each ones are, and then just give me whether you believe it's nominal or interval. In this case, that's really all I'm looking for. If you've got an idea of what ordinal is, that's fine as well. I'll, just explain if it's ordinal, whether you think it's ordinal in kind of like, and you could treat it as nominal level variable, or whether it's ordinal and you would treat it as interval level variable. I'm leaving that kind of up to you, and that one is very subjective, right? It just means, can you treat it and deal with it as if it was like much more um, significant um, data, or are you stuck with, you know, the um, just giving us frequencies, or can you do more meaningful, more, detailed stuff with it? And you have to be careful with what you're dealing with. Remember, there are social meanings that are attached to these variables, right? You can't remove that. You are a social scientist, and although you might be arguing that you are just presenting information about the patterns in which things happen, you could never remove that there is social meaning to this. That means that there is political meaning to this, right? And I'm using that word very broadly. I'm not saying that um, I'm not trying to give it any judgment. You understand? That's the one thing you want to kind of like, that's one thing you can control is take a step back over how you judge any of these things. You want to observe these things, but you also don't want to, you know, assume that there is no one judging these things. I know it's complex. I will try to make this, as straightforward as I possibly can as we still move forward. And I think we should be okay. But as I said, we'll see how this works as it's moving forward.